Welcome back to another episode of the Self-Care Revolution podcast. Look, I am in the middle of my reset for this week, okay? Now, I figured I'd just do this episode like this so y'all can kind of see the method to my madness, okay? Now, pay no attention to my hair. We are still working with these curls that we had from my 30th high school reunion, okay? That was a fun time. I got to talk about that because, it is something that I guess is unexplainable about being around people that knew you 30 years ago. Okay. So anyway, it was a fun time. But today we're gonna redo this hair, and I don't know what I'm gonna do, but I actually feel like I like the curls now. I mean, they're messed up now because I worked out. That's the only thing about it. Like once you like work out and stuff like that, like little ones start falling and stuff like that. So it's really, for me, it's only good for like a few days because of all the other stuff that I do. But that's okay. That's okay because I know how to roll it again myself, and I will be doing that. But welcome back to another weekly reset, okay? Now, if you're new here and you wonder what the weekly reset is, this is just, us talking about our basic self-care needs, right? Because that's where everything starts. It doesn't matter what kind of job you have, doesn't matter what you have planned for this week. You're going to need to eat, drink, move your body. All of these things matter before that, okay? Because they're going to spill out into all of the other things that you have to do. So that is what we're doing. But this week, we're talking about the types of self-care, okay? Okay, I can talk. We're talking about the types of self-care, and we're focused on physical self-care this week, all right? Now, a lot of people probably think they know what self-care is, but self-care really is maintaining and managing your basic needs so that you sustain day to day. So you don't show up here tired and burnt out. So you don't show up here hungry and, it's crazy because why would you put yourself in the back burner when you really think about it? It's like, dang, are these things really more important than myself? Because that's the message that you send to yourself, okay? So I like to get a whiteboard out, and I'm not going to show you my whiteboard because it got personal stuff on it or whatever, but I love to get a whiteboard out, and I can't wait till I move because when I move, I'm going to have a whole separate space where I'm going to put this huge whiteboard up so that I can map stuff out, because there's something about the brain connection to your hand writing stuff. I don't know. I just love it, and I like to see things written out, okay? So this is how I start my weekly reset, okay? I write out the intentions that I have for this week. Then the main thing that I like to do though is to ask myself two questions. One, what worked well for me in my self-care last week, right? Did I hydrate? Was I kicking ass in hydration? Did I keep my consistency for what I wanted to do in working out? How were my meals? Did I eat mostly, real food that's not processed and that was nourishing my body? Like, how much rest did I get? So I like to think about what I did well. What did I do good? What did I just, knock out the park last week? And then I focus on what I want to do this week. Like what do I want to be saying at the end of this week about my self-care? What I did with my self-care. So I'll write that out. Those are the main two questions. If you only do that, then that's a good start. Okay. Now I like to go a lot deeper because, I feel like if you're taking care of yourself, everything else just has to work regardless. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, things are going to happen, but I'd like to be, if something happens, I don't want to be starving, tired, burnt out. That's crazy. So anyway, we're not chasing perfection though. We're not trying to be perfect. Like even if you can only focus on one thing a day, then that is the whole point, is to spend some time each day focusing on what you need versus what everybody else needs, right? So we're just working on building steady habits because we have 90 days left in the year 2025. And if you over here with us, we are not going to be part of the crew that's like, oh, New Year's resolutions. No, we're going to be like, hey, we checked in on ourselves. We started a habit. We created a habit in September of just noticing what was going on, just checking in, seeing how we're feeling and stuff like that. And now October, we're focusing on the types of self-care so that we know exactly what we need to do each day, okay? So we're not going to be a part of that crew that's going into the New Year's thinking that they're going to change. We're going to go in with some momentum, especially where our self-care is concerned, and it can only make us better. That's the great thing about it. working on yourself, you'll never have a regret from doing it. It's just like a workout. I never regretted a workout. Now, I struggle through the workouts. However, I never regretted a workout. All right, so if you're like me and you like to have a whiteboard out, I suggest you get one because, I mean, you're going to write down your professional goals and stuff like that. Like, write down your personal things that you want to get done for yourself. You know what I'm saying? I have a daily 5 that I like to hit, all right? And that is hydration, it's nourish, it's working out or movement, right? It doesn't have to be a workout. Like I said, it could just be a stretch or a walk or even a dance break. But I like to celebrate a small win, and I also like to do positive self-talk because we spend so much time talking ourselves out of stuff, right? Doubting ourselves. And I like to go ahead and just get in there and just be like, listen, these are the things that are true. Before those things start to happen, you know, that way when they do start to happen, I can remember these conversations, okay? But the point to remember is that it doesn't matter what it is that you're doing. Your body is the vessel, the vehicle that is going to take you there. So if you don't take care of it, then like, what are you really trying to accomplish your goals? Because why wouldn't you want to be at, you know, the best you can be once you get to wherever it is you're trying to go? Okay. So that is the whole point of Self-Care Revolution, is to make us focus daily on our self-care needs, because self-care matters daily, okay? So we're going to do a self-care roll call, all right? Now, you know, feel free to chime in the comments below. Let us know and be real. But the most thing you need to do, or the thing you need to do most, is be real with yourself. You need to answer these questions for yourself, okay? Have you hydrated, right? How many of the drinks that you've been drinking over the past week have been hydrating, right? We're not going for perfection, but you want to make sure that every day you're focusing on some hydrating drinks, right? Because we're going to drink other stuff, but you want to focus on the hydrating drinks. So that's number one. Have you eaten any real food, okay? Nourishing food. How many meals have helped your body, right? Think of it in the sense of your future self. Have you helped your future self with the meals that you've been eating, or are you setting your future self up? So that's what we need to do. So that's hydration. That is nourishment. All right. Have you moved your body? It could just be a simple stretch. It could be a walk. It could be a dance break, like I said, because it doesn't have to be a workout. Did you pray and reflect? All right. You can choose to pick one if you'd like. I like to do both. But that is, you know, that is it. So we got, have you hydrated? Have you nourished your body? Have you prayed and reflected? Have you moved your body, right? And what's the fifth one? If anybody can tell me what the fifth one is. Actually, you know, the fifth one is something that people like to skip. You know, they feel like they're saving time. I'm going to go ahead and tell you that the fifth one is rest, okay? You cannot, you cannot skip sleep, all right? It's like a loan that you're going to take out that you can never pay back, because your body is going to shut you down when it's absolutely at the end of its rope. And we don't want to get there. We want to make sure that we're giving ourselves a chance to like have our body repair itself while we're asleep, because that's what's happening. Your body is repairing the things that, you know, it needs to repair so that you can function right the next day and you can think straight, because lack of sleep causes so many health issues. We'll get into that in another video, but you're not benefiting anyone. You're only hurting yourself when you skip sleep, okay? Like what are you doing? Because why would you charge your phone and not treat your phone better than you treat your body, right? We're not going to let our phone be dead for days, right? So we need to focus on getting the proper amount of rest. That is what, you know, that is what we're talking about over here. And all of that is, you know, physical self-care. That most of this is physical self-care, because physical self-care, everything relies on this. Physical self-care is one of the most powerful forms of self-care, okay? Because it touches on a bunch of these daily 5s. The water is physical as well. The movement is physical, obviously. The food and nourishment is physical. The rest is physical. If you notice, physical self-care is basically the foundation, right? What are you doing to this vehicle that you're trying to take to all these events, go on travel, and do all these great things with? You have to focus on your self-care. All right, cannot get around it. All right, so you could go ahead and put down below how many of the things in the roll call did you do? And that's okay if you didn't hit them all, but that is what you can't get back, right? the fact that you now know that you skip these things and you put something else over your well-being, now you can't forget that. Now you gotta spend some more time thinking about it for the rest of today, okay? So the goal is not perfection. It is to just make a habit of checking on yourself. Like, what do you need? All right. So now I want to talk about why physical self-care matters. Like, people think that, they can like take these energy drinks and things like that, but that is not real fuel. Okay. The real fuel is the real food. All right. And it affects your focus. It affects your stamina. Like, you might have a little, boost of energy from one of those energy drinks for a minute, but you're going to crash and it's not sustainable. So we can't have that. All right. And then, like, when you're thinking about movement, like, why wouldn't you want to move? Because you want to keep, like, for me, right? I want to be able to jog up a couple of steps if I need to. If somebody's dog get loose, you know what I'm saying? I want to be able to take a few bags from my car up to the house if I need to. Up the stairs, you know what I'm saying? I want to be able to do these things, bend and reach, get stuff off the shelf and stuff like that. Like, the circulation is what I need. When you move your body, you help your circulation, okay? And you release stress. So these things are not just, things that you would be doing for nothing. They're things that you need to do to keep your body functioning, okay? Now, I know a lot of us have been planning to work out. And I'm just here to tell you, you got to get off the couch. You got to get off the sidelines. You got to start somewhere. All right. And when I always talk about these little 5-minute things, you have to start with a little bit of time and then build onto that. Okay. Because it's going to keep your system going and it's going to keep you flowing. So it's time to act, y'all. If you're a person that has been thinking about working out, you got all the cute little outfits, you got all the equipment, let's just start with 5 minutes of something. Okay. Now, I already talked about rest and repair, because sleep is where, like I said, your body rebuilds and repairs, and skipping it means that everything else suffers. Because if you stay up all night, now you're going to affect how you drive. You shouldn't be driving, but you're probably going to drive because people do it all the time. But you're going to affect how you drive. You're going to affect the decisions you make. You're going to affect your reaction time. You're going to affect, how good of a job are you really going to do wherever you're trying to show up if you're not fully rested? Like, come on. So it's like, you can't skip these things. These things are things you have to pay attention to. And once you start paying attention to these things, a whole bunch of other stuff is affected, because you personally are going to have separate needs than me. And you're going to go and focus on these things way more than you used to. And it's going to make you a better person because of it, okay? So I say all that to say, right? I want you to pick one of the things, one of the daily 5, right? And I want you to lean into it every day this week, all right? If that's hydration, let's just focus on hydration, okay? If that's, sleep, then let's just focus on sleep one at a time, all right? Now, if you feel like it's like you up the par and you're a superstar, you can hit all 5. I want to know below. I want you to come back and get in the comments below and let me know what you did, all right? So, that's the whole, I'm sorry, y'all. That's the whole point of Self-Care Revolution, right? We are just bringing your awareness to you. You spend all day worried about somebody else, working for your job, running your company, whatever it is that you do, but have you eaten? Have you hydrated? How much rest have you gotten? You have to focus on the things that you need, because if not, like I said, you're letting someone else or something else be more important than you. And that's the message that you're sending to yourself. And we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. Okay. So that is the challenge for this week. Okay. I want you to share this with somebody who needs to hear it. And if you feel like you need a visual reminder, I do have a free self-care tracker that lists a bunch of self-care actions. It has a little space where you can write in, what you ate for breakfast, how you're feeling, because your feelings matter. Okay. How you feel affects how you show up. Okay. So it's a free tracker. You can get it on selfcaremattersdaily.com. And you could also find the podcast there as well. Obviously, you're listening to the podcast somehow, but you can find it there to share You can find older episodes and things like that. And if you need something deeper, because what I do is I like to ask myself certain questions, and you have to be honest with yourself about these questions so that you can see the things that you need to focus on. Okay, and so if you are ready to go deeper within yourself to figure out what is making you feel stuck, what is making you feel like you never get ahead, right? Why do you keep starting and stopping, right? Then you need the You Are the Proof journal, right? And it's something that I use to identify where my focus areas were, okay? So, but anyway, you can also find that on selfcaremattersdaily.com, okay? I'm your girl, Demita, and I will see you guys in another video. But this has been your weekly reset. I'll see y'all for the midweek check-in. All right, don't forget, we do the midweek check-in to kind of come back in and check and see, hey, remember those self-care goals we were talking about? How are you doing so far? Okay, so be on the lookout for that. But share with a friend and make them tell a friend, and whatever that saying is that they always say. I'll see you guys in another video. Peace.